Hey guys, we're back in the garage and today we're going to start working on the 2007 Civic Si. Alright guys, so one of the major issues I had when I first drove this car home was the steering felt very disconnected in the front end. So one of the things I'm going to do first is pop the car up in the front and shake down the front end. This will check some of my suspension and steering components, and basically hopefully I can find what's wrong with it. So now that the car is up in the air, we can properly shake down the front end and check our steering and suspension components. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So in order to check these, what you're going to want to do is rock side to side, which will check your tie rods, and then up and down, which will check your ball joints. So checking the ball joints, not much movement. Everything should be good there, but side to side, that's where we're seeing a lot of play. So let's go ahead and get under the car and we can better diagnose which tie rod end is bad. All right, so now we're under the car facing up. You can see your inner tie rod end here. You can also see your outer here. So when I go ahead and move it again, we can see exactly how much movement we have on this inside joint here. So if I hold this, it's much tighter when I hold it in, but when I let go, I can feel that there's a ton of movement on the inside here. So just to see that again, even with one hand, we can see all the movement right here, which is your inner tie rod end. Out here, it's kind of harder to tell. There's not much movement between the knuckle and the joint. So I don't think the outside tie rod end is bad, but the inner is definitely bad. So I'm gonna go ahead and check the other side. It's gonna be the same process and we'll see what I come up with. All right guys, so while I got the wheels off, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna check some of the other stuff. So just a quick look under here. Now, I was told that these were Skunk 2. The Skunk 2 ones are generally silver. I'm probably gonna do a quick look on eBay and see if maybe this is something, another brand, or just some quick eBay version coilovers. Either way, they look all right. They're fully adjustable. They drive fine. Unless I have some sort of an issue with them, I'll probably leave them on. One of the other things I noticed is here, it looks like there is a ring style clamp here on the axle. Can't really see it. I think it's on the back side over here. Might be able to see it here. Yeah. So right here, you can see the end of a ring clamp. So that makes me believe that somebody tried to replace these boots on this axle, as well as the same thing on the tie rod end. So you can see over here on the boot for the tie rod end that there is another ring clamp. So I think ultimately what I need to do is I really just need to go through and see what's been done right, what's been done wrong, and just make sure it's all right, or at least mostly right. So for the time being, I'm gonna get some tie rod ends ordered. That's for sure, I need those. I also got tires on order, so I'm gonna get these replaced right here. You can see that these are better than the other side and they're completely worn out. So the other side looks just as bad. I'm not gonna show that on video because it's basically the same stuff, but ultimately, the big issue that I have here is 2 bad inner tie rods, 2 bad tires. I'm gonna get those taken care of and try to get this car back on the road so I can at least drive it. All right guys, not sure how well you can see this, but here's your inner tie rod end. Here's your steering boot or bellows boot, and there's gonna be an outer clip or a clamp, something that'll hold this boot on right here, and then there'll be an inner one back here. I've already removed the outside one, now we're gonna remove the inner one. All right guys, we're back here in the shop. It's a couple days later. I had ordered and received inner tie rod ends. So I do have the new ones. We're gonna go ahead and put those on. The wheels, at least the front wheels, are out getting 2 new tires. Those should be done anytime today, hopefully in the next hour or 2. And I should be able to drive this car. So we'll take a look at the old one. So I did remove one of the old ball joints. You can see how floppy and loose this knuckle is. All right, so this ball joint on the end here is completely trashed. You can tell by the new ones that they're really supposed to be much more rigid than that. There really shouldn't be any play at all. If anything, it should almost be difficult to move. Another thing is the boots. The boots are actually in decent shape. They're basically just a dust cover, but one of the things I did notice was the outside clamp had been replaced with a ring clamp, as well as the inside clamp was broken when I took it out. So not super uncommon. I generally break them when I take them off because I generally replace them with zip ties. This is just a dust cover. It doesn't have any pressure behind it. Even the tie rod end's got a little divot on it so that you can line it up in here and it shouldn't go anywhere. So something like a zip tie should be enough. I've seen everything from the ring clamps to zip ties to even the metal exhaust style clamps. Whatever works, feel free to use it. My suggestion, like I said, is a large zip tie. Usually the wider the better, except for you don't want to go too much wider than the channel that the gap used to sit in. So if you can get a zip tie that's about the same width as the clamp originally, then you should be good. So let's go ahead and get these back in. The only other note that I'll make is when I do install mine, I always note how much of the threads went into the inner tie rod end. That way when I put them back in, I can try to set them as close as possible. With this much play, and the other side was about the same, there's no way it's gonna be perfect, even if you measure everything exactly and you put it in exactly the same spot. With this amount of play, it wasn't right to begin with, but at least if I can get it close, it should be good enough until I can go and get an alignment, which I'm gonna do pretty soon after this. So let's go ahead and get these in. We'll get the other side out and the two new ones in, and hopefully my tires will be done by the time I'm finished, and we'll be able to go and pick those up and then put them on and drive the car. So let's get to it. Alright guys, so we got our new tires, the wheels are back on the car, we've changed out both tie rod ends, the inner on either side, and all we got left is to torque the wheels and take it for a test drive. Alright guys, as you can see, we're back in the Civic. I just got back from the test drive. Steering is much better. I actually feel much more connected with the car. The engine pull is really strong. I'm actually almost amazed with the amount of miles that are on it. There must have been some sort of rebuild, or it's just been really well taken care of, which I doubt because the rest of the car really hasn't. There's still a few things that I need to get taken care of. The shifter feels still not great, particularly going in a second. You'll probably see a clip here of me missing a gear or two. The clutch pedal is still not what I would hope for, so I'm gonna see if I can adjust that, maybe get some bleed in. I also want to do a second once over of the suspension and steering before I go and get it aligned, because I don't want to have to do that twice. I think I'm gonna raise the car up maybe half an inch or so, just for a little clearance in the front with turning, and the tires in the rear are just a little bit more tucked than I would like. I also want to see if there's adjustable camber in the rear, since I haven't really checked it out yet. But ultimately the car feels a lot better, and it's actually driving well aside from those few things. So
Another thing I'm going to do here in the videos coming up is definitely clean the interior, like an actual deep clean. I'm still working on getting some of the smoke smell out. You know, if I'm going to be in here 3 or 4 times a week, I don't want to sit in that. It is what it is, but hopefully, like we saw, stay tuned for more content either on this car or any of my other cars, because there's definitely more to come. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next one.